Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this Visionati live session. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, the great Sarah Parker. Thanks for coming. And of course, we have the founder of Visionati, Josh Ellithorpe. Ellithorpe,
Yeah,
did I say it
yep,
correctly?
that was perfect. You did a great
Okay,
job.
good. I did my job. I can leave now. How you
Awesome.
doing, both?
Doing all right. We have wildfire smoke. I don't know where you guys are located, but I've been like coughing and sputtering all day. So if I cough a bit, forgive me.
Wildfires in California?
Canada, but then it comes down to the States. So,
Well, best of luck on some clean air in the near future.
yeah, I hope the fires go out too. It's, every year, of course, but, gotta
Sometimes
get
we
through.
got that last time from Canada, actually in New York. I'm in New York,
Hmm.
and it was pretty crazy. But
I saw the photos last year. It was like
we were
actual,
freaking out.
the city, New York City was like, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, Josh, where are you? Because I think I know where you're from because I'm wearing a shirt in honor of.
Yes, so I'm on the Big Island of Hawaii. I've been living out here in Hawaii for like 4.5 years now, around, and I love it out here. So
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, let's get started. Like, why did you? Well, first of all, Visionati, for those of you that don't know, is an image captioning, alt tags, image prompting AI tool. Great tool. I got a code from AppSumo, the deal that's going on right now. If you're watching this later and the deal's over, you can pay for a subscription, get those credits. But it's a great tool. But I was curious. My first question is like, why did you build this tool? How did it get started? Any origin story you can share with us?
yes, so I founded it with my co-founder Dale Miller. Dale and I had been friends since like 2007, and funny enough, the original Visionati we actually built back then. But it was a
Wow.
totally different tool. It was a social network for creatives. And we had this idea to create a creative portal with, artist portfolios, collaboration environments, events, blog, basically an all-in-one platform for creatives. We actually built the whole thing. And unfortunately, it didn't work out, in that early time frame. But we had a lot of fun and we built it. And then I moved to California to kind of do my development career. I did a lot of startup work in the Bay Area. I worked for a number of companies. I worked at Oakley doing stuff and a lot of their e-commerce and video encoding. And then I worked at Oracle and a few other companies in the Bay. Most recently was Coinbase. And now I liked to do a lot of side projects. And it was 2016 or so, and Dale reached back out to me and was like, hey, there's a lot of this new AI stuff happening. Is there something we could do with Visionati? And I was working full time. I wasn't sure exactly what we could do. And so I started looking into the different services, and it was the fledgling market. Let's be clear, right? There were three players. There was Clarify, there was Imaga, and there was Watson at the time. And Watson doesn't even exist anymore. IBM ended the Watson services. And to say that they were good would be a stretch. But we tried, right? So we were like, okay, let's see if we can get some good results out of these services. And they offered basic tagging. Some of them did a little bit of facial detection features, but mainly it was just tagging. And I was like, okay, there's some use cases here. We can do some auto tagging. We can play around with these AIs. Maybe we can figure out a way to do a little bit of a demo where we could auto tag an artist's posts and build a tag cloud from AI automation and have some fun with that. So we did. We built a demo for Visionati that kind of did that. And it created some really neat tag clouds of the different artists. And we kind of built that as a demo. And we decided that because the quality of these engines really wasn't exactly what we needed, that we really needed an aggregator, something that could talk to multiple AIs. We're like, okay, the answer to one AI doesn't give the best results is what happens if we query a lot of AIs. And we see, what tags come back from multiple services, not just the rank that we got from one. And so I started building out the back end. It's written in Go. And I started building that out, and I built a plugin interface to kind of plug in different AI engines. And it was pretty fun. I was kind of doing that in my spare time. And it was, if you look in the Wayback Machine, it started as like a little single page website, Visionati. We do tagging, you know, it was like one of those one trick pony little API services. And it kept growing because as new AIs became available, I would integrate them in my plugin engine. So, you know, Amazon's
Very
recognition,
cool.
I added that. Watson went away. I removed that. Right. And then there was OpenAI that I waited patiently for, and it didn't happen for a long time. You can even see tweets as early as like 2020. Me talking about, oh, they're saying they'll do image stuff. When's it going to happen?
We're all waiting.
We were all waiting for that one. Yeah, it was a long wait.
So now fast forward to today, and there's quite a few amazing services out there. We have Gina AI, Claude, OpenAI. Amazon's recognition was actually pretty good on the more legacy side. Then we have Lava from Meta. You have Baklava, which is another derivative of the Lava technology. And so I kept building out more support into our aggregator. And then now we have 10 different AIs that power our aggregator. And when you use our little web front end, it queries 6 of them, right? So we have 3 that do the captions and descriptions that we think are the best, which is Claude, OpenAI, and Gemini today. And then we have 3 that we're using for the tagging and not safe for work pieces. And the combination is the output you get in our little web app that is optimized for a phone, hooks into your camera. It's really designed for lightweight use and demoing as we really built out an API service, right? We envisioned larger vendors using our API and needing the flexibility of all these different AIs. And so that's where the AppSumo deal came in. And so I was like, wait, I can get this to a lot of people that may really appreciate an API service. And, you know, we have a huge feature set, more than any visual AI company today, mainly because we're a superset of all these different companies' amazing work. And you can pick and choose which ones you want. It's like, oh, I just want descriptions, or maybe you just want faces and semantic analysis. But it really, you know, kind of broadened as time went on over the last many years.
That is interesting. So one thing you said spoke to me. When this all started in the first place, you and your co-founder, obviously there's something else underlying that drove you guys to do this. What drove you to be of service to the creative community like that with your first iteration of the app? Because there's got to be someone's the creative, right?
Oh, so Dale's done creative work throughout her career. She's amazing. That's why I partnered with her. And she really loves to do things to help the creative sphere. And she's worked within agencies, and she's a pleasure to work with. And then myself, I was a one-man shop for a really long time. In my early 20s, I ran a small startup called Intra Arts. I was a full, stack web development firm. And I started doing web development in the mid-90s, right? I remember as all this technology launched, my time frame was really that entire blossoming of an industry. And so I worked with a lot of people on things like musician websites, photo galleries for artists, photographer portfolios, healing art centers that needed web presence. And I would just go and do all the stuff for them. When I met Dale, I was like, wow, we could build something really fun for the creatives where they can all kind of collaborate together instead of me working one at a time, helping people find their web presence. Let's build a platform that really helps, a lot of people do that. And so that was kind of my momentum there,
That's pretty cool. And I think just for me, that bodes well for the future of Visionati, because obviously you guys have just pivoted, right? Which I love to see. And you're also utilizing lots of different APIs. You're not just like a ChatGPT wrapper, which nothing wrong with that at all. But it just speaks to me, especially because your underlying purpose for this in the first place is to be of service to the creative community. So I really appreciate that, because it's not just, you guys were sitting around like, how can we just come up with some idea to make money? So I love that.
At all.
And making money is good, but
yes, there's
both.
nothing wrong.
You can
with
have both.
Money. Yes, Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not against making money, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you have to provide something unique, right?
Hmm.
OpenAI has a great service, right?
Oh yeah.
And so does Claude. All of these different people have wonderful services, but they have different biases with their
Yep.
AIs, different things they're good at answering. And same with Lava, and what Meta's doing, allowing things to run locally on a machine means that you can have less restrictions on the content that is being produced there. And so as people are needing to scan different types of content, we've noticed really drastically different quality depending on the AI you use. For
Really?
instance, OpenAI will refuse to mention an obvious name, right? You give them a picture of Michael Jordan and
Yeah.
it's this amazing basketball player. And it's like, dude, that's like obviously
This
Michael
guy.
Jordan,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
can you just say Michael Jordan? It's okay. It's not like some trademark special
As an
sauce,
AI model, I
right?
can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't answer that right now.
What we found is that, Gemini sometimes says the names, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you want the names in your marketing material. This could be pretty important. And so
Mhm.
same with Lava, if it's like famous face, a lot of times we see different discrepancies as to like what will be described or how they describe it. Some of them will say, well, I think it's this, and sound really wishy-washy, even when your prompt says never be wishy-washy, right? And so being able to compare and contrast, right
Mhm.
now we can compare 6 different types of captions and descriptions. That's really
Very nice.
useful for people as
That's what
they,
I like. Yeah.
I saw that and it was super specific too, which I appreciate.
yeah. So that to me is the real special piece is like, okay, do I like this description or this one? And for different use cases, right? A
Mhm.
realtor is going to have a different use case than someone that's running an e-commerce shop or an artist that's trying to promote their art online or someone that is a social media manager that's trying to write some tweets about fun stuff that they're posting. All of
Yeah.
them have a flavor they're looking for. And each AI has its own flavor.
And
Yeah,
I have
because
one.
oh,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. No,
Yeah,
go ahead,
when I
Joe.
first saw
Sorry.
Visionati, I wasn't sure, if I needed another tool, another AI tool, because Harpa, there's other ones that can produce the text from an image and the alt tags and mid-journey prompts. But it seems that you fine-tuned all the models because the quality when I started using, and a lot of us, in the industry are lazy, creatives, SEOs,
Or no time.
yeah, we're just looking for one tool that could maybe help us with all these things. And I right away I saw the image descriptions. And then another thing that was really amazing was the mid journey. I was taking photos off Google image search and I was like, I wonder how I could prompt this. And I was spending a week trying to, prompt something in mid journey that was similar to a photo. I think it was the Open AI version of language on Visionati, and it produced like exactly like the photo, like so detailed. I couldn't believe it. Where I was trying it with the other tools, and I was getting, pretty good, not bad. But it seems that you guys set it up for us lazy folks, maybe a little bit to help us out, because there are other tools, correct, that can do this, but not with all the language models in one.
This is totally it. We spent a lot of time working on our prompts, right? So this prompt engineering 101, right? Is the better the prompt, the better the results you're going to get from your AI engine. And the prompts are going to be different for different services. And so those roles map to prompts that we produced in-house that are very specific, right? And we kept tuning them and we'll continue to tune them, right? So as we find more prompt tricks to make sure that the quality of those prompts can be improved, we do that. And a lot of it is little notes like, please only provide the answer. Don't tell me how you came to this answer. Those types of things in the prompts really help a lot. And so it's about really looking at the output. And I try to be as minimally invasive as possible for people's privacy. And so you'll
Mm.
notice that Visionati does not store any of the images and even results right now. I'm going to add some
Interesting.
capabilities to store the results in your local browser cache, where that's a happy medium, right?
I
That's
learned
your
that fast. I lost some prompts right away because I was like, oh, it'll be there
Yeah.
later. I'm like, oh no.
no. I don't want the liability. There's not safe
Yeah.
for work content. I don't want to host your not safe for work content.
Yeah.
But what I do is I do keep some of the returned results from like, hey, they asked for this prompt and here's what I got back from the service without even seeing the image, right? Because
Mhm.
then I can gauge, well, am I giving these people good results? Like, here's what they asked for, and here's what's coming back. And then I can see what kind of content, sometimes those AIs come back, I can't stand this content. I've definitely gotten warnings from some of the AI folks about, like, oh, some people are using this for things outside of our terms of service. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what every customer is going to do. And the ask anything I knew could be a little risky, but I thought it was worth it anyways. But when you ask it anything, well, then you're responsible for your prompt. And so when possible, the roles are there to give you the best possible results, right? The prompt for Midjourney, I do that a lot. A lot of times I want a similar image. I go on like iStock photo, I see something that looks kind of good. It's like, oh, give me a description of this. I'll go generate something. And it's really, really useful.
That was fascinating. There's another point that you hit. So far we hear there's a deeper reason for this. You're ready to pivot. The infrastructure of it is flexible. So those are all amazing things. And the fourth thing you mentioned, which I don't hear often, is privacy and security. Not a lot of people, it's pretty easy to turn and burn an app nowadays. Doesn't mean it'll be great or good, but you can. And privacy and security are things that, like when you were talking about how you'll find a happy medium where we can store it in our browsers. Just there's so much thought behind that, but people don't really realize how big of a deal it is that you even mentioned that. So kudos to you on that.
I mean, privacy and security is really important. What you scan should be your own content, right? When you're uploading a file, I don't store it on a disk. It just doesn't get stored. I don't want to put it on a disk. Then I'm liable for the stuff that you're posting. I have to deal with enough liability dealing with all these other vendors where I'm funneling those contents to them and making sure that, whenever possible, I don't have them store any data. And then also providing their privacy policies on our website so people understand exactly what we're capable of providing for them versus what this upstream provider that I'm using may do with their data. And so it's really important that people understand what their data is being used for. Sometimes there's good reasons for someone to hold on to something or do it, but you have to convey that to the customer. You have to let them know what you're going to do that for. And I'd much prefer to opt on the privacy side than anything else.
That speaks to your spirit of service again to the creative community. That's awesome. The reason why I'm making such a big deal of it is a lot of people are not really familiar with me, but I'm a bit in the legal field, and so I pay attention to these things a lot. And my agency services a lot of regulated businesses, so it's like sometimes you can't even mention a word. We have data handling procedures, and literally no founder talks about what you're talking about right now. Not none of them, but this is pretty cool.
Well, I used to do talks on like open source licenses and the meanings of licenses as far back as like 20 years ago when nobody really talked about those things. And I think it's really important that people understand how the technology is being used. I'm a huge open source advocate. My GitHub is packed with open source code that is, MIT licensed. So for me, I don't believe that the GPL is actually a open license. I think the only open licenses are the MIT license and the BSD license.
That is controversial. Some of you will probably have no idea what he's talking about, but that's pretty interesting. We'll have to talk about that later.
Sam's looking forward to seeing the parrot. No parrot today.
He's having a nap. He'll take over the whole show. He'll get jealous, and then you guys wouldn't hear anything about Visionati. But maybe next time.
Next time.
Now I'm excited about the parrot.
You're excited. You want to see the parrot, right?
He literally steals the show. He'll cheese it up. He knows what a video call is too, so he'll come on and be like, "Hi, what are you doing?" And then and then the whole thing's gone. It's all about him then, and yeah.
Josh, did you want to share your screen and maybe go through the tool a little bit?
Yeah,
I'm excited. Check this out.
I could definitely do that. Here, 1 second. Let me open up a fresh browser.
I wish I knew about Visionati like a week or two ago because I'm a huge fan of evergreen content for myself and for my clients. And when you're going through and you're scheduling, 30 to 60 posts at a time, I had to sit and I had to fight ChatGPT to, do everything the right way. And it's frustrating. So Yeah.
Okay, so I've shared a window. And on your phone, this is actually designed to run on a phone really well. I actually optimized it
Really?
for the phone experience better than the desktop experience. That's why it's so small.
Mhm.
So if you load it on your phone and save the page as like a desktop icon, it works as a fully fledged application on your phone. Select file will automatically integrate with your camera. Me doing this demo on a desktop does not show the full set of features, but we're going to start here. So we'll go ahead. I'm just going to find some pictures. I don't know. Let's find, this is my friend Robin meditating. And let's see, we can do some kind of, we'll just do the general actually we'll do a tweet first just to, and so you just go ahead, select a role that maps to a complex prompt, and then it goes ahead and submits that to the different AI services, and then it's going to come back with some results for us. Hopefully it doesn't go too slow. There we go. Find your Zen in a symphony of colors, vibrant hues, and calming meditation, a perfect balance for the soul. We can see that's what came back from OpenAI today. These arrows kind of push us through the different AI engines. This is from Gemini, surrounded by beauty of art and nature. I found my inner peace. And then we have the result from Claude, breathtaking art that takes a dives deep into the soul. And all of these have a slightly different, verbiage, a little bit of just a different experience for the end user. And then you can also see some tags, and we'll notice that some of them are not so great and some of them are great. I don't know where it got Christmas from. Maybe it's the red, but some AI service came back with that. And the only tag that the multiple services agreed on was woman. And they didn't even all get yoga, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then
So
it
it's
is
highlighted in bold then if they all
that's
agree on the one.
because that multiple services return that tag. And so that's how I kind of indicate that this is one that multiple things came back with. So let's see if we can find another picture. Oh, this one's really fun. This is a squirrel flying around. And let's go ahead and see what our squirrel is doing. And so whether it's fun meme images, whether you want to do some OCR, so here's a little squirrel flying.
That's awesome. I like that.
Superhero,
That is
right?
adorable.
And so we got animal, pet, portrait. And what I find is that these are from the general tagging services. These are not from the modern AIs. Say that you wanted to get the tags from OpenAI, you would actually ask for tags
Okay.
because those are the legacy services, Recognition, Clarify, Imaga, that are providing the tags because they don't do descriptions. So, and then we have, a couple of different takes from Claude and the other AI engines. So like say that we did this, please provide a comma separated,
I do that every day. I always spell separated wrong.
And
one of those
so we
words.
go ahead and we do the same thing, but now we're asking that question, and let's see what the difference is, right, between me asking and what the traditional tagging.
That's what
Let's
that
see.
does. I wasn't sure what that did. I didn't
Okay.
try that feature yet.
We get amazing results. Squirrel,
Wow.
superhero, cape, goggles. Where were those for the original tagging services?
Yeah.
And those are
That's great.
Amazon. That's Google Vision. These are services from big name companies. But what I
Mhm.
found is that when you use the more modern AI services and you use the, ask anything. Now, what's awesome about this is you could also have these tags, or you could ask for multiple descriptions in a CSV format, and they'll do that too. Please provide 5 descriptions in CSV format with the identifier being X or whatever. You can really get super creative with what you're asking the AIs to do in a way that's super duper flexible. And so most people don't realize you can kind of get that depth. And then let's take a look.
So you'll
This
really
is,
want to dive into the docs then to really understand how versatile this tool is.
well, I can show you in just a second a little bit of the documentation, at least for devs. So here's the tags for the solar eclipse. Or let's turn that off and let's just use the artist role and see what kind of artistic qualities. And this will talk more about the mood of the composition, and it talks about the things that an art critic may be more inclined to care about. And so all these roles really do return significantly different results. See, awe and silence, contemplative, eerie atmosphere, artistic techniques may be long exposure. And this is way different than, oh, let me get a caption or an alt tag for my image. This is designed to both provide that short form for you. So let's see, we'll just do a caption of the same image, and we'll see just how different the results really can be. And it's to make it easy for the end user, right? This should be simple. They shouldn't have to do a lot of work to get a little bit of goodness, right? And so some of these are shorter. I actually prefer the shorter ones. I find OpenAI still does generally produce the best output for me, but I have found that Claude does also provide really good output. Unfortunately, I found a very high hallucination rate with Google's Gemini service.
Oh no.
Gemini 1.5 is considerably better, but is currently rate limited to a degree. I can't roll it out to customers yet. But I have done the internal testing for Gemini 1.5, and it is actually quite good. But they only allow 2 requests per minute, so I can't roll it out yet.
And for anyone who's watching this who maybe isn't so AI savvy, there's 2 terms I would just want to touch on really quick so you're really up to speed on what we're talking about. Hallucination just means AI makes stuff up sometimes. You know, you just gotta be careful. If you want to see an interesting example of that, look up ChatGPT lawyers, where some lawyers actually used ChatGPT to write briefs and they got sanctioned because it hallucinated and made up some case law. It's not good. The other term is AI bias. Now, it's not the bias that you hear in the news where it's meant to work everybody up or anything. It's not like that. It's actual data set bias where, just like a human, AI tends to say things a certain way or do certain things, and the makers do their best to make sure that it's pretty, I guess, consistent, or has a certain voice. But just like humans, AI is always going to lean a certain way or provide a certain patterns of output. So just so you know what those are.
I'm not going to dig into docs a huge degree, but I do have structured documentation, curl examples for developers on how they can get it. And what developers get is a response like this, which is a little bit more crazy than what you get in the UI.
That's so detailed.
You can see like what was the tag, what service returned it, what score did they give, aka the accuracy score. And so this is clarify some stuff from Google Vision. And we can see that, this returned quite a few different, tags. And then we have color analysis that shows you like what hex colors and how much of the image has those particular color attributes inside of it. We have the not safe for work labels that come back from Google Vision and clarify. And so this is just and then descriptions is the descriptions that come back. That can also include things like OCR. And so there's a very, very detailed response that the developers can use. And then if you look at the different parameters that can go into the API, you can give it a list of URLs so it has full batching support when you use it as a service rather than just the little front end. I am going to add some batching support to the front end. It's just not done yet. You can do batch file support, and you can also select what backends you want to enable and what features from those backends you want to enable. So you may want to enable all of the backends that support descriptions. That's really easy.
Wow. My mind is going a million directions of what you could do with this. It could be a research tool, a vetting tool. A risk, what's the word?
Yeah.
Risk rating tool. Like there's so many. This is crazy. This is good. This is really neat.
So this has been really a lot of fun. And as we add the new services, you'll notice the new backends start showing up. And we try to stay, as current as we possibly can. And so right now, if you go to the main Visionati site, it really does go through a lot of our value prop right here on the image analysis page. And, we have the captions and descriptions, the tagging, we have filtering for not safe for work or medical images, violent images. We do face recognition as to, what their joy level is and age range and whether they're male or female. Oddly enough, not a lot of people do this. They would rather it in real time. Brand and logo detection so that you can spot, brand images, the color analysis that I showed you, and also OCR and pulling text out of images. All of those are supported out of the box. And then we do have a beta video offering. And the beta video offering basically does frame by frame analysis of everything that we do for images. What? So you can set your capture interval. You can say like every 60th frame, I'd like to take a snapshot and run your analysis. So say that you have, a minute long ad that's 30 frames per second. You could say, capture every 30th frame, and then you could do an analysis every second and then get that frame by frame analysis back from our API that includes the descriptions of what was happening in the frame, faces, etc. But it's really around that frame by frame analysis, not really like a total video description. It's a little bit different. But we probably will add that high level video description in the near future. But yeah, we built a little bit of a video pipeline. I thought it'd be fun to do, so we ended up doing that.
I already have like 3 use cases in my head for that. Like, even have you guys ever seen those really messed up, like what would you call them, like the pharmaceutical commercials that's just like the people are in weird situations, looks like a fun house, and there's deep psychology in that marketing, very deep psychology. It would be interesting, with the proper copyrights, of course, everyone, to run one of those through Visionati and see if you could do some type of psychological analysis of some of the advertising, just as a study on industrial psychology in marketing and design. My mind's going, this is a cool tool, you guys.
You absolutely could, because you could get the descriptions from the different frames and the offsets and basically say this is the story of what happened in the frames. That's amazing. Then the AI can piece together what the actual video was, right? And it will really have good context on what is happening there. We're using YouTube DLP. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a YouTube downloader. Okay. But so we support YouTube, Vimeo, Twitter videos, and if you look at the support for YTDLP, it's actually really extensive. They offer like thousands of websites that do video. I kind of whitelist them as I see whether or not our service handles them well. But we have an infrastructure that is really capable of processing pretty much any type of video format. Most of the engine's written in FFmpeg, which to me is just the Ginsu knife of all video tools. Yeah.
That's cool. And now for like a simpler use case, because I'm going, just
I'm the simpler use case right off the bat for my artist website. Artist website for artists, for photographers. A lot of us, we build these sites with our portfolio. We don't have time to write the copy to help. I already have a couple pages on my website that are ranking because I've used Visionati to help get some descriptions in there, get those alt tags done quickly, and it writes some really nice copy. We don't have time. We want to create the artwork. We don't want to be writers. That's a whole nother story. So right off the bat, if anybody, you're in the photography or media visual field, this could be a good assistant for you, that could just really speed up that workflow. So I'm just...
And accessibility compliance too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being able to write longer form descriptions of the images. What I find is if someone has a large image library and they're sharing that online, you're lucky to get a sentence out of them about the description of the image, unless they're using that somewhere else, right? Like, or they really enjoy writing. But what ends up happening is they give you a description that's like really not that great because the focus was the image. They're the artist. They're not necessarily wanting to write a bunch of copy. Having Visionati write that for you saves you a lot of time, includes a lot of words that improve your search engine performance and make it a lot easier for the search tools on those websites to find your content. So, and some of that might not be obvious to the person that they should have even included that. Yeah. Like when they put, some kind of monochrome image, you should say monochrome or you should say black and white. And a lot of people won't include the keywords that people are actually searching for, where the AIs in their, more verbose take on it will. And so I find that, if you're posting your stuff for stock photography, trying to sell your photos on Getty Images or iStock Photo, well, the descriptions matter.
And it writes like a poet. some of the descriptions that it wrote for one of my
Yeah.
paintings was amazing. It was like I couldn't write that well.
Yeah, no, it's quite shocking how the quality difference over the last, say, 3 years in AI technology. It's really night and day different.
That's pretty cool. One hidden use case for, I would say, like most AI right now is people that have like perhaps dyslexia or other, writing challenges and things like that. I find that most of the AI models will correct that and fix that for you and understand what you're saying. So we're taking that capability and combining it with a tool in yours that speeds up your workflow. It's the democratization and how accessible everything is right now is pretty amazing. And then for you to package it in this tool is even better.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun to see the new use cases too. Like some of the reviews I got on AppSumo, they blew my mind because I didn't even
Oh, they'll
think
be
about it.
detailed, those
Like,
Sumo links.
it wasn't
Yeah.
even about details. One guy got all his descriptions in Greek. And I
Oh,
was like, I didn't
okay.
do any Greek output
Like, it
testing.
does
I'll tell
that?
you that.
That's
Like,
cool.
you're at the behest of the AI backends for
Yeah.
that one. But like to know that the things that the AIs are more capable than even our internal testing, which is extensive. And
Mhm.
there's always these new use cases, whether that, OCR, I always assumed that OCR would be using like traditional OCR tools. But what I find is that OpenAI and these new AIs, they do a better job because they understand the context better. For instance,
Oh.
if I have an image and it's got 3 bits of text on it, and I go and I ask Google Vision about it, sometimes one of the blurbs that comes back is like one word. It doesn't understand word groupings. It doesn't understand the context of the image itself. But then if
Mhm.
I ask Claude or OpenAI about the same image and say, hey, can you take the text out of this image? It includes the phrases by themselves correct and not the extra like accent character or weird individual record that doesn't make any sense by itself. Because the whole point is being able to like get what you need out of the tool right away. You don't want to have to funnel through garbage.
No.
You don't want to say, oh, I'm not going to get, like I have to filter out these 3 things that came back. Because if
Yeah.
you have to filter stuff out, then you can't put it in an automated pipeline.
I always like have to fight with some models too because the output will be consistent like 10 times, then the 11th time it's like, let's just do something different for no reason, even though you didn't ask me. So that's the other value for a tool like this.
Yeah, and a lot of things also where you try to ask it to check an image or a website, and it's like I can't do that right now. It's frustrating where I just
Yeah.
go to Visionati and it's like, okay, it's gonna work. It's not gonna freak out on me.
Mm-hmm.
The hallucination sometimes too is like, I can't do that. You just did it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You know you can do that. And then it's like, oh,
Did you say
sorry. I
please?
remember I can do it now. Yeah.
You have to
Did you
say
say please?
please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's true. They're very finicky. And what you'll notice is if you ask the same question multiple times,
Yeah.
sometimes you get dramatically different answers. And you're like, wait a minute, like I'm asking the same AI, but the temperature and the other, randomness controls on how the neural network works really can send you down a different path. And sometimes you get very different results.
Yeah.
And
The GPT-4, oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
The new GPT-4o has been freaking me out because it's got the more emotion in it, and I have with the voice. We had my daughters. We asked it to clean the room yesterday in 5 minutes. If they could clean their room, and had GPT-4o in the voice say nicely, can you clean your room? And they did it. The kids listened to AI because it had like
Oh,
emotion. It said great job. And then with the memory feature, it remembers now. So in your own local, right? So it knows like my daughter likes art and that my other daughter likes to dance. It knows like everything that I've prompted it before. So whenever I need it for something, I could just have it. Now they want to listen to it all the time, which I'm like, no, we're taking that away from you. You're not ready for AI yet.
oh my gosh. I wonder. Wow. That just unlocked a whole nother. That's a wild, cool use case. That's interesting.
Yeah, it can do like a nanny AI, or something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
getting
I'm,
it's getting close to that film Her. You remember that
well,
movie Her that came out
Yeah.
years ago?
I mean,
It's not there yet, obviously, but it's getting like it's like a glimpse at what's gonna happen.
No, it really is. And honestly, people are trying to make that. Whether that's my market or not, that's definitely not my market. Like I'm not
Yeah,
trying to create their nanny bot or
yeah, yeah.
whatever it is.
I saw
But
one yesterday. In China, they have ones, they're the AI, and they put human skin on them, and it's an AI girlfriend. But she literally follows you, like it tracks you. And I was like, this is not.
I like real humans myself. You
Yeah,
know,
I was like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if that's your flavor, but I don't know if that's safe. The
and the thing
Terminator
is,
army is here.
I know
so
Skynet.
response times are really important for that interaction, right? And
Mhm.
honestly, that's why I don't have all the AIs enabled on Visionati. Is yeah, there's a price sensitivity, right? Right now, if I enable all the AIs, I have to pay all the upstream charges, right? So there is a compounding cost effect that renders it less useful if it costs too much.
Yeah.
But more importantly, response time. So where with ChatGPT, it's near instant, right? They've optimized specifically for response time. Now that does mean that it is actually not as good at reasoning as the traditional ChatGPT because it has to say the responses immediately, right? It has less processing time to come across what it needs to convey to you. What I found with Visionati is we try to keep it under, 15 seconds. Ideally, way less than that. Like I want to keep it less than 5 seconds because you lose people, right? If someone hits
Yeah.
scan and they're waiting for 2 minutes, they're not coming back to your service. Now on a website, you got like 250 milliseconds to get your job
Oh, it's
done.
not good. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
if you go beyond that, then your SEO scores tank, everything starts to fall apart.
Mhm.
With AI, people are a little bit more forgiving because they're asking more complicated questions and the technology's new. So
Yeah.
5 seconds, right? You want to get a reply within about 5 seconds. A lot of these services can't, right? So OpenAI, that's kind of the de facto right now. That's what people are comparing against. So as long as you can get around the same response time that someone's used to with that experience, then they're willing to wait because that's what they're expecting, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's good enough, actually. It just means that that's what they're willing to deal with right now because that's the best we've got.
Yeah.
And then what I found is, Claude is pretty fast and Gemini is pretty fast. And that's why those are the three that I've selected so far. Gina AI actually provides really amazing results. And it's designed to be horizontally scaled. So you can send it 250 things at a time, right?
Oh, okay.
But it takes like 60 seconds sometimes to come back. And that doesn't matter if you did one, and it doesn't matter if you did 100. It comes back in the same time because of the way they chose their scaling technology. Unfortunately, as good as their results are, I can't have my end user wait for 60 seconds.
No.
So they're not included in the default list, while they do provide great results. And I actually recommend them for e-commerce workloads where you can do like async processing. They actually have some of the best e-commerce descriptions out there, even better than OpenAI. But
It's
you
good to
have to be
know.
willing to do like an async pipeline to do that because it's not real time and you don't need that for e-commerce because you're basically doing some kind of web callback on an e-commerce product.
Yeah.
And then we have things like Lava and Baklava, the local models. Downside is that most of the services that offer those models spin them up on demand. So
Mm.
Replicate, I'm going to give them a plug. Great service, cool stuff. I can't enable it by default because the way they do it is they try to save VM time, right? Machine boots up, you can access the models, and as long as it's getting hits, they keep the VM up.
Mm-hmm.
However, if it doesn't get hits, they shut down the VM. And
And
if
V is virtual
first
machine,
after
right?
the computer shuts down, right? The virtual machine shuts down, you
Mm-hmm.
got to wait 5 minutes because you got to wait for a machine to boot.
Yeah.
And so your query is sitting there waiting, wait, wait,
And
wait.
just for everyone, query means a task. So your task is just sitting in the queue, like, hey, you're going to complete me yet?
Exactly. So you can either get a response time on their Lava integration, which is actually really nice, of like 2 seconds, fast,
Mhm.
or
That's nice.
it'll take 5 minutes. And it's like, oh, come on, you're killing me here. Like,
I'll forget about it in 5 minutes. Even if
this
I
is what I'm
wanted to
saying.
wait, I would just
They won't use
forget.
Visionati again.
Yeah.
And so I use two different services from them, Baklava and Lava. And it's because they do really nice hosted models. And when Visionati is gangbusters, which I'm sure is going to happen in the future, I'm confident that people are going to continue to use
Think so.
Visionati, then those VMs will stay up but truth is running your local AIs is expensive. You require a bunch of GPUs. You require not just a computer to be available, but a fast, good computer to be available. And those are expensive to keep up in the cloud. So while Replicate has a great service, their Lava implementation is actually really good. I found that Baklava gives like better, like nice little captions and stuff. There's a bunch of use cases. Theirs is really good. But
And
with
the name
Baklava,
is
I find
cute.
like, yeah, you know,
Love it. Who doesn't love
sweets are
baklava?
delicious, you know. But I found that like 1 out of every 5 or 10 queries to that ends up with a 5-minute wait time. And it's like, okay, well, in the API, that might be okay because you're going to batch, you're going to bring up a machine, and then magically it's going to run thousands of images through it. Great. So in an async workload, you're integrating your API with WooCommerce, or you're integrating the API with WordPress for alt tags, or you're doing your e-commerce stuff, whatever it is. It actually is perfectly reasonable for those tasks. And in fact, really good because you pay the cost once and the machine's up and you do all your processing and it keeps the costs down. Make sure I don't have to charge you very much for doing those scans. And it works out well for everybody. But with a little front end app that integrates with your phone camera, well, that needs to be fast. So
that is interesting too, that you build this essentially mobile first, definitely more than mobile friendly. A lot of apps just don't really think of that. It's still, even in 2024, mobile is an afterthought for even a lot of web designers.
I do need a WordPress plugin though from you. Eventually.
No, what you need to do is just send us what you need, right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing now is actually looking at integrations. We have a really good base API.
I have free to send to you already.
We have a nice way for people to test out the service to make sure that it works well for their use case. And we have it great for, you know, your average consumer that just wants to scan fun stuff and be able to get some results back. But the truth is to do things in bulk. And in order for my business to ultimately be successful, I need to be scanning a lot of stuff, right? I'm working with penny profits. So I needed to have a useful, yes, absolutely. Scanned books. PDFs are not supported by a lot of the services. But if you took screenshots of the pages of those PDFs and converted them, like in the GIMP or some other image tool, then yes, it absolutely would be able to.
I love PDF.com. Is free to use, and they are certified for data security. So they're wonderful. I love PDF.com. You can turn a PDF into a JPEG in 2 seconds. Then you're ready to go with Visionati.
Yeah.
If you have more questions, you want to go through some more questions?
Absolutely.
All right. Interpret, will your platform give results in multi-languages?
So yes, absolutely, it can do that. Unfortunately, our default prompts are really designed for an English-speaking audience because Gemini returns stuff in random languages as if you don't. So what I found is I would ask Gemini a question, and I'd send it like a picture of Tokyo, and it'd send me a Japanese description back, where everybody else gave me English. And not just Japanese. It would be like English, few words of Japanese, English. And I was like, no one can read this. You know, like you're catering to a bilingual audience or something. I don't know what you're doing here. So the prompts include some very specific verbiage about output, lengths, all those types of things when we use our prompts. If you use Ask Me Anything, you can ask for results back in any language or multiple languages. You could say something like, please give me a short description of this image in the following languages with this as a delimiter or whatever, and it happily does that.
If we use like DALL-E or Midjourney for image to produce image, will it create description for such image also?
Absolutely. So it will definitely, it can do great descriptions for AI generated content, and it can produce prompts to create like images for AI content. So if you have an image online that you like, that you want to create an AI clone of, you can definitely use Visionati for that, and the results are really good. And so I've had fun with that. You know, sometimes
it works great.
I'll have like the guess the prompt things on Twitter, and I'll have Visionati come back and be like, well, how about this prompt? And then I'll show a sample image and it looks very close to the original. Now, whether or not it was the prompt they were expecting, I don't know, but it does work really well for that.
That's awesome.
We upload images like CSV products collectively in e-commerce, then add products. Will this work for bulk images together?
So we're actually working, this is the first set of integrations we've been focused on. I don't have an exact ETA, but we've been looking at Shopify and WooCommerce to start.
That's great.
And
Shopify.
basically making it so that when you create products, it uses the product images to generate the default description for those e-commerce products. It saves a lot of time. And it also will take into consideration the initial description that you had and also do description augmentation based off of the images that you include for the product. We have some wet paint demos already working that do this, but they're not quite productized yet. So what you'll see is in the coming months, there'll be an integration section on Visionati that includes custom plugins based off of customer demand. We definitely kind of jumped the gun on some of the e-commerce stuff as I thought this was something I wanted to hit the market early with. But we also looked at alt tags, SEO optimization, direct integrations with things like WordPress and Joomla, and some of the other CMSs out there to make it easier for people to just automate the SEO improvements and be able to choose the AI engines that you want to use for those integrations. What I found is the plugins that are hitting now are either using their own home rolled AIs or they are using a specific service. Truth is that I think that as the different AIs improve, people are going to have more of a preference as to the AI they want to use. And that may change over time as the AI engines change in quality. So yeah, right now, OpenAI seems to produce some pretty good descriptions. And so does Claude. But, Google could drop Gemini 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And maybe it produces the best descriptions tomorrow. By betting on a company like Visionati, we put those plugins in pretty much as soon as these services launch. And then it's as simple as like change a pull down menu and you're using your new AI, I think is the level of integration people actually want.
That's really nice because that is something that I struggle with sometimes. Both like when you, like Dolly, when it was before the current iteration, I actually preferred the output in its imperfections before. And then when they changed it, it's like, oh, I'm not using this anymore. I'm switching to a new one. So that flexibility is really nice.
So it looks like we got a question about resolutions.
What should be the minimum quality, resolution of an image so it will generate description?
I mean, honestly, the resolution of the image, it can be small or big. The larger the resolution, the longer time it will take to generate the description as it will be using more tokens inside of the AI engine. We do have very large token limits, so we can support large images. For quality and size reasonability, I think that like 1024, if you're looking for a lot of detail on that description, is a reasonable, 1024 by 768, type of image size is probably a kind of a ideal point, but it can do it for smaller and it can do it for larger as well.
It looks like
it could definitely
that would be so nice. Yeah,
definitely. Does it support all image formats?
So the image formats are based off of the upstream providers because I don't look at your images. So I take that image that you give me and I give it to them as you gave it to me, byte for byte.
Oh, nice.
That means that it is dependent on that service. They all support JPEGs and PNGs. Some support animated GIFs. All of them support regular GIFs. And then most of them support WebP. So the ones that don't support your format, you will notice that description will just be missing.
I've noticed a few with the WebP we're missing.
Yeah, so like you might only get 2 results when you do a WebP image because, well, that's one of the services that I'm selecting is not WebP friendly. And sometimes they don't return a result just because it violated their terms of service or some other issue. Again, that's why I really like doing multiple descriptions back, because then you can kind of stack rank on the returned output if you have an automated flow. So it's like, hey, if I'm automating processing 10,000 images, I don't care if one didn't get processed because of a terms of service issue, but I do still need a description from that one. So being able to have multiple AI engines and be able to fall back to Claude if OpenAI didn't give a result, or fall back to Gemini if it was the only result, and be able to stack rank those in your automation pipeline guarantees that you get results for more of your images than if you used a single AI service.
That's important too, because that AI bias sometimes it's kind of like the Facebook, our automated technology says that your meme about cakes is inciting violence, and you're just like, that's no.
It's cakes.
So yeah. So I mean, I've been a victim of that. I don't know how many times I'm like, it's a meme about cats. Like what? And sometimes, especially like the AI dataset bias is very interesting, especially with ChatGPT. I actually made a mini white paper. This is for generating images, not for doing writing. But when I would make certain ethnicities of people, specifically people of like Russian or Ukrainian origin, or because I'd have different projects, it would make them have a very certain BMI or body weight. And so I'd type in, can you please adjust the body weight to whatever it was that I needed? And it would say, I can't do that. It hurts people's feelings, basically. Like, and to be clear, it was making them incredibly thin, where it was not anything. I was like, can you please make this person a healthy body weight? And they're like, that's subjective. But I'm like, you're the one with the you're the one with the bias. So it's very interesting. Sometimes the technology is not perfect, just like humans. So
Will it be able to tell about a person info, like when you upload Nelson Mandela's image?
Absolutely. Now the question is whether or not they'll say his name. So if you look at OpenAI, they have in their system prompts to not give names. Good luck.
Good luck.
Sometimes it still spits out a name. But this is another reason to test it with the multiple AIs. What I found is some of them are willing to give a name, and some of them will just give you a really accurate description about Nelson Mandela that obviously they did know the name, but they didn't say it. And it's like, so I'm kind of on the fence on the AI censorship issues, right? I think that it's a really difficult conversation. And I do not think the answer is we need to regulate this to the nth degree. I do not believe that is the answer. And the truth is that it makes it inherently less useful technology. And it makes it more difficult to do accurate pipelines with it, right? So you should be able to identify a face. If that person is in the media as an actor or actress and has got a billion of their face online with their name on it already, you're not violating anybody's privacy by saying their name when you scan the movie poster that they're on, right?
Google's already identifying them. Yeah.
Right. So it's insane that like you're going to get more restrictions than you would get from a basic Google search, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also don't want someone training an AI with tons of bias and then someone going in and asking a question and getting an obviously super slanted result that doesn't know that it's a slanted result because they're doing a research paper. And they don't know
that's my thing is so now, use case. Yeah.
Ooh, like how do you prevent misinformation? Not because of politics, not from that bent, but like just blatant, right? Like I took a photo in Tahiti and it said it was, another island or another location.
Or like the ChatGPT lawyers. I'll just make up some case law that you're about to file in court.
And that could get you arrested, right? So
they got sanctioned. It's not good. That doesn't happen.
Yes. So there's a middle ground there, right? And I think that what it really boils down to is local AIs need to give a lot of flexibility to the consumer using it. And we need more locally run AIs where the user is responsible for the results. And, there's training sets that what they were trained on. So instead, right now, it's really opaque. It's not very transparent what the training set was. So like OpenAI, we have no idea what they were trained on. And when like Sora, their video, someone asked them in an interview, did you train it on public YouTube videos? I don't know. Bullshit, you don't know. Bullshit. And it's like, we need to know what it was trained on. And then we can get an idea of what the biases are, right? And so if you have a general purpose AI, then if you're trading it on encyclopedias, yeah, most people are not going to object to you using encyclopedic treatment, right? But
Mhm.
then Wikipedia has slants. There's
Yeah.
constant warfare on Wikipedia, but maybe that's also good, but should be noted. You know, and so as long as we know what it was trained on, then we get an idea of what kind of reliability we get from it. And
Yeah.
then you have a clause that says, you know, what's returned is not guaranteed to be correct, whatever, right? One of those we take no responsibility clauses on it,
Yeah.
and you let it be.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
I
just like
don't.
artist tools, like paint. You know, some acrylic paints from some brands are super watery, and some of them you can just put on there. It's you know,
Thick.
you can make sculptures out of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just how is each tool? It's just like art supplies. Seriously,
Yeah.
it's just knowing how the medium works. Yeah.
Dan, will it be able to help in analyzing a short sport practice video for correct, incorrect
Oh,
execution of a certain sport move?
that's
So
interesting.
it's not. I wish I could say yes to everything, right? So what it can do is it can take that sports video and kind of slice it up into frames and say like the players are in these positions or this, and get some ideas as to what's going on. It doesn't have the context for like what those moves are, and it doesn't know enough about those formations and stuff to make.
Not yet, it doesn't, but
Yeah,
But you could use it as a starting point, though, right? To actually get all of those frames. And then you can use your API to send it to your endpoint of choice. Maybe Dan creates his own separate AI model that can do that, but Visionati does all the heavy lifting for you.
it
Maybe
could
that's
definitely
something.
do that. It could do some of the describing as to what's going on. But honestly, the video support for a lot of these platforms, the reason I did the frame by frame analysis is that the initial video support was just so worthless. These people would put out video support and be like, we support 5 megabyte videos.
Oh, okay.
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 I
Great.
can't even do a
Good luck
30
with that.
Wasteful.
second spot on 5 meg video. I mean, like it's just worthless. Like I can't do anything with this. And so I didn't build in
Wow.
the native video format support. As
Mhm.
that gets more mature, I do want to add those options where instead of just slicing up the video, there's a way to offer just the regular video processing. But the services just really aren't good enough to handle that yet. But Visionati has it on its radar that like I definitely would be adding those features when the support is better upstream.
That's
Now, how
cool.
big is your team? It's you, Dale.
And
Um,
a few of my friends that are kind of like in a contract capacity.
helping.
So Dale and I do most of the heavy lifting day to day. We have 3 contractors that are actively working on integrations with us right now, and not just contractors, but people I've worked with in the past in a very professional setting. And so it's a small team. We're pretty nimble. I'm very passionate. I like to make things, and so we always are looking to kind of expand out our team for the right person. And we've been kind of selective. Right now, the people that I am doing work with, all are people I've worked with for more than a decade.
That's
Right.
great.
So it's like,
That's
yeah,
nice.
I've worked with them for a really long time. And they were interested in doing more work with me from our previous experience. And it's a lot easier to have people jump into some of the integrations. So
Mhm.
if there are developers that are interested in working on a specific Visionati integration, we would love to work with developers on doing that because there's a really good separation of concerns, right? There's an API that's well published, highly available. We can answer questions. We can help with any of the sign-up flows and things like that that the developer needs for their product. And then they're making their own thing, right? And it helps both of us, right? If they have an integration that works really well for a particular platform, then I get more customers buying API credits. And those API credits aren't terribly expensive. We try to make sure that it's very reasonably priced where we don't offer monthly plans, right? You buy credits, they last forever.
I
The
like
price
that model
points,
better.
well, yeah. The
Yeah.
reason monthly credits is they hope people don't use the service and they can still take their money.
Yeah.
It's
That's
really simple.
interesting. Would you
So
consider like integrating with now Zapier? I'm not a huge proponent of them because they have their pros and cons, but they're an option. But maybe an Albato, Pabbly seems to they'll just find your API and just put it in anyway or something. But
Yeah.
honestly, I would
something
love
like
to
that, or
use.
Make, which used
Active
to
Yeah.
be called Integromat.
pieces. Yeah, there's so many now.
So
That would really
yes.
democratize the API where people that aren't so API savvy can start to
I mean,
use
it's easy
Visionati
enough
more.
to integrate that definitely could be done.
Mhm.
And being able to offer a kind of easy builder interface that can interface with
Yeah.
Visionati as a building block tool is definitely what we always intended. So if there are people there that are interested in those integrations or are curious about whether we'll support something in the future, send us the suggestions because
Oh, you're gonna
some of
get a
them are
big
on my
email
radar.
from me.
Right? We're ready to start
Oh, it'll be
looking
from
at
Sarah. Sarah's gonna be emailing you.
what it would take to do like an Adobe Lightroom plugin, right?
Oh
For
yeah,
photographers.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want tags and descriptions for all their images. And so we've kind of looked at that and noticed that the existing offerings there are terribly expensive.
Yeah.
The AI one, that was an AI plugin, was like $250. And I was like, I'm not offering any plugin for $250, so those types of things are very much on our radar. We mentioned the e-commerce pieces, but also, your average CMS, Joomla, WordPress.
Mhm.
We really want to be able to integrate directly in the products that our customers are using to make it seamless. We don't want people to have to cut and paste stuff. We think
yeah.
that the field,
WordPress, Shopify, that would be
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, those
Mhm.
integrations. Dan, what would be the application into affiliate marketing?
so affiliate marketing is exactly why we're doing the e-commerce stuff, right?
Yeah,
Is there are so many pop-up Amazon rebrand stores, right? And they need to diversify their product lines and their descriptions, and we can make better descriptions for them. Often better descriptions than are on Amazon,
yeah,
and that leads to more credibility for the affiliate marketer. And so being able to take those product shots and then also including the existing description and asking for better descriptions is something we do extremely well. And
That's
so
nice.
I think affiliate marketing is definitely a use case there. And that's why we're looking at WooCommerce, where most of the, at least affiliate based e commerce is happening on that platform.
yeah, definitely.
That's
WooCommerce,
pretty cool.
Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
Will your platform work on GIFs also?
Yes, GIFs. Animated GIFs is hit and miss. I'd have to look at the compatibility across all the services.
Okay.
The newer services, I think, do support it just fine. But some of the legacy tagging services and stuff, I know had some issues with animated GIFs
I'm
because
gonna
they didn't
try
know
that.
which frame to check.
I have a commercial Giphy account, so you guys can use my GIFs, Facebook,
Okay.
anywhere. But it's hard for me to find my own GIFs sometimes because my descriptions are not good. So,
Sarah, if you need memes, I have memes.
oh my gosh, yes,
For
you
you.
are the meme master. About 5 times a day, I am like sputtering laughing when your stuff comes through
I
my
think,
feed.
Josh, I think we just became Facebook friends, so I apologize in advance for any silliness that is on my personal Facebook page.
I'm going to be really honest with you. My Facebook is a ghost town. I include some Facebook stuff for Visionati because my
Yeah,
friends and family use it, and
yeah.
so
Mhm.
they want to know what I'm up to.
It's
I'm
just
a
good to
Twitter,
have a presence.
I'm a
Yeah,
Twitter guy.
me too.
I
I like
spent a
Twitter.
lot of time on Twitter, and I have, and it's been a lot of fun being on there. I try to use social media a little less now,
Yeah,
and I try to
Mhm.
build tools that are useful for real people. Funny enough, being here on the Big Island, I go to the farmers market. For me, that's my big day of the week. Ooh, it's farmers market day. Let's go to the farmers market. I know all the
Yeah,
vendors. I know, I have my lady
yeah.
I get my kale from. I got the chicken egg guy, Sam. I've got all of these vendors that I've met over years.
Mhm.
And I'll go over and I'll take a photo of one of their things and I'll show them what Visionati can do. And a
That's pretty
bunch of
cool.
them use it for their social media now. So
Oh,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
people that are making lotions and necklaces and little arts and crafts.
Mhm.
They can go and take a photo of their product and get an amazing description from
that's great.
it. And it also does like event flyers. So if you have an event
Oh,
flyer, you
okay.
take a photo, you can go to promoter and it
Yeah.
literally writes out a full promotion for your event. It tells you where it's at, what time of day it is, who's performing, what they're going to be doing, all
Wow.
with it's amazingly good at doing event flyers and event promotions. So I actually have a lot of real life users, people that are doing it on their phone, people I know that weren't on the interwebs. And so that's been really rewarding to see as well.
Where
I'm
do you
excited about
see?
on the phone. That's cool.
Yeah, the phone is great.
Mhm.
Everybody's on the phone now.
Yeah.
Where do you think AI will be by the end of the year, or actually probably by the end of the week, the way it's going this summer? What do you think? It's just something I ask people involved in the AI niche. Like, where do you see it evolving to, and are you
So,
excited and scared at the same time?
so I'm going to be honest. It's a little bit of both. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Ouroboros. So the snake eating its own tail.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
So in the
Where,
beginning of
yeah.
AI, it consumes a lot of content that is from humans.
Hmm.
The end of AI, it consumes the majority of its content from other AIs.
AI model collapse.
So what ends up happening is it regurgitates stuff that came from the other AIs rather than what's coming from the human consciousness.
Hmm.
And it will be harder to guide the AI down the human realms of existence as the percentage of input is
yeah,
reduced from humans. And we also are going to have these really difficult problems with spam. Right now, it's really easy to locate spam. Usually it's misspelled. Usually it's got some weird periods in places that shouldn't have them. Like it's like pretty obvious what's going on there. With AI, for fractions of a cent on the person's local machine, it reads like high quality content.
Yeah.
It reads like an email from Apple. It reads from an email from Facebook, right?
Even copywriting
So,
styles.
so the amount of fraud that is going to happen because of these AI systems is going to be extremely large.
well, you already have the phone calls, and they're recording your voice, and then they're cloning it, and then they're calling
Yes.
relatives, scamming. I mean, it's begun slowly
Yep.
but surely. Yeah,
An active AI that can speak to you in a conversational tone. Some people are
yeah.
not going to know they're conversing with a bot in
Yes.
real time on the phone. And
I'm
it's
Sounds
actually
like
AI. I'm not
Sarah.
really me. I'm actually AI right now. I just didn't want to tell you, but if
have
I
you
was
seen
AI, I
some of
would
the
speak much
filters?
better.
Oh my gosh, there's filters that will change if you have a gentleman sitting there on the other side of the filter, he looks like a young woman and it is like wow,
It's
the
all these
catfish
movies,
level on that.
and TV shows that I mean, even like Star Trek, the old original Star Trek. We looked at that stuff. I was watching reruns. I'm not that old, but it was like, wow, they got the guy on the big screen and then they have a microwave. This is crazy. We're way past Star Trek now. We're like definitely Skynet, her. We're
Yeah.
going.
I think that what ends up
Yeah.
happening is people integrate these technologies and we need to move forward, right?
Mhm.
And to me, there's going to be hiccups in the quality of some of this work. And it's what worries me the most, though, is that people's attention spans are getting reduced. This also reduces people's IQ. They're not able to reason like the previous generations were able to reason because
Yeah.
they're used to getting these immediate answers.
Yeah.
And as AI improves, the accessibility of that information is going to get even faster and even easier. And the critical thinking skills of the mass population, I think, get affected by that convenience. And it's I see us heading towards a world where people think they're really smart because they have the answers at their fingertips,
Millennials already
not
suffer
because
from that.
they're actually smart, right? And so, idiocracy comes to mind. As
Yes, I was
a
going
film,
to say
right?
that.
It's like people kind of devolve as the technology improves, right? It's like all of a sudden the access to information, everything gets automated. People have less reasons to think, less reasons to really chew on the things that are important in life, and then they are more susceptible to the media influence and other things that are influencing them in their day-to-day life. And I think that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
But the thing is that these are all things we're going to have to work through. And I
Let's
don't believe
educate
that the
people
answer
instead
to
so we
that
can
is
jump in.
manipulation and that side. It's us being cognizant that these types of forces happen, having that conversation, trying to make sure that when kids are learning, that maybe they don't have their AI in their pocket when they're learning
Yeah.
philosophy.
Well, I see it with the kids.
Mhm.
They're very in tune. They're very more intelligent. Like even my kids, or I teach part time at an art school, and the kids just know so much, and they know how to operate the technology. But what's missing is the social skills. Like it's
Yeah.
not always there. It's not the same like when we were growing up. And the technology was new and this was cool. It was a video game. I remember going to an arcade. You didn't have we had the Atari at home, basics, but it was like a little treat. Now it's the other way around. Now going outside is like the treat. Like we have to get you doing things.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm kind of curious as your take on this. Do you think that they're smarter, or that they're regurgitating something that they got more access to?
Knowledge is not intelligence.
Yeah, you're right. It's
so like they might really believe something because they've heard it so many times in different ways from the different AIs or media conversations. But did they critically think about it and come to that conclusion, or are they reporting a conclusion that was the social media bias?
I think it's a little bit of both, because I think like back in the day we would have to go to the library and go through the books and learn, and we had it at a nice pace. Now, because it's so much, they can have access to it anytime. The brighter kids will absorb it faster, more, and then they're regurgitating.
Oh, where are they going?
But
that's the other issue. We have data control now, data omission.
That's a whole nother. Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm not even talking about the AI or the news media. You definitely have talking points from and everything now. I just feel like they just have the info so quick, and it's also the technology wise, like how they handle technology. And it's not always intelligence, but they have access to the information that we didn't have that same access. I mean, at the same time, I agree, where we had to work harder, or our parents, our great grandparents had to work harder to get that knowledge. So maybe that made them smarter. They sound smarter now.
They had to reason. The reason is the part that I think that we're in danger of losing. Is critical thinking skills is actually a process. It's a framework.
Yeah.
And like in the legal realm, one application of it might be the broad evidence rule. The trier of fact has to sit down, and it is a true way of thinking. And but the convenience, humans always flock to convenience, and that's what's going to be the challenge to navigate. How do we still preserve and teach critical thinking skills while using technology? It's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough, but education will win the day. I think we'll get through it.
I hope so.
But just always hope. Always.
Oh, yeah. Always. Yeah. We get to choose everything in every moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, exactly. It's the biggest CYA. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, this was good stuff, man.
Great. I know we already went over an hour. I could talk to you guys for
I know.
Go to the weekend. But we have to do this again. I know, Josh. I know, Sarah, you're busy with the agency. And I know, Josh, you're busy with the AI machines, the languages and all that. So I definitely want to thank both of you for doing this. And let's do it again. We can talk AI and Visionati, and Visionati is available on AppSumo right now. For how much longer will the lifetime deal be there?
So the lifetime deal is there for about 2 more weeks, and it's actually a ridiculous deal. I lose money on that deal, to be perfectly honest. It's like lifetime deal. If they use it, I'm happy, and basically I'm subsidizing users that I think really could use some awesome AI to make sure that they have a deal where they're always going to have plenty of credits and be able to do some really awesome integrations for a wickedly low price point. And then that deal is going to end, and there's never going to be a deal like that.
Yeah.
Because we offer reasonable prices on our website, but the discounts on AppSumo are significant, mainly because I wanted to get it out there and really market it in a way that it hadn't been marketed before. And it's been great so far. The AppSumo team's been fantastic.
And you'll still have credits. Just being on that model even too is going to be wonderful for you guys. And people really trust my recommendations. This one's a buy. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I checked it out. It looked nice. It looks like a very useful tool. I was already enthused about it, but talking to you especially and learning more about it, this is a buy. This is a strong buy for sure.
Best in founders, and once I started talking to Josh, and that's why, Sarah, I messaged you. I'm like, you should come on this interview with him, and he seems to know what he's talking about. And he's also been nice enough. We're going to do a giveaway, 5 starter packages and 1 small business package. But I guess we could do that after the session. I'll let you two decide, and who's been engaged with the questions, and we can do that.
It's a nice surprise. We can kind of put it in a hat. And then what we can do is have them sign up, and I'll make sure that they get their credits. I love people that ask questions. So since nobody knew what we were doing, we can see who was the most active. And we
Exactly.
can reward the people that were
Reward.
active and asking questions and make sure that they get a little bit of a bonus, and we can reach out to them.
We could have the parrot and the chicks, little chickies pick.
Oh, cute. Yes.
Maybe we should get that on YouTube or something.
We'll have them like meet each other. I don't know if the
Yeah.
chicks will pay attention to Willie, but he will definitely pay attention.
Well, I
to
also have
That'd
two
be so
baby
cute.
ducks here too,
Oh, you have ducks?
in a little duck house. Yeah, we got some ducks a couple weeks ago for the pond.
Everyone has birds except for me. I got.
They're kind of a handful. Look, the ones he has, a little bit easier. You don't want to pair it. I'm just saying they're not supposed to be. Yeah. They're awesome, but yeah.
Awesome. This was fun.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And then we'll be in touch, and we'll make sure that people get their packages.
Definitely, you got to do this again. You know, good luck. I'll keep bothering you. I'm sure Sarah will with everything. And Sarah, I don't know if you want to give a shout out to Kuva Media.
Kuva Media. Check us out. We are a creative agency. We are very, very good for regulated industries and high applications where you need a little bit more creative, targeted, and in-person marketing. So we're better than SEO, I say.
Oh, hey.
For high-ticket businesses.
That reminds me, I should give a shout out for the agency I work at, maxplaces.com, SEO digital marketing agency. And the parent company is maxburst.com, which is a web development branding company. So we're in the New York area. If anybody needs any help with that.
Got SEO Joe.
SEO Joe.
Call you.
I don't know. Tech Joe. I'm all over the place. But
I like it.
So much fun. And thanks so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for joining. And if you're watching the replay, you know, ask questions in the Facebook comments, YouTube, mostly in the Facebook LoudEgg group. And hopefully Josh and Sarah can answer some of your questions, and I can if I remember everything. And have a great rest of your day and evening, etc. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.